You're watching Good Morning Nigeria on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority. Now, as a prompt for our conversation on the series of measures announced by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for the auto manufacturing sector on account of the removal of fuel subsidy and, of course, other economic measures. We'll take this background report put together by Natala Garba, our correspondent.
Mixed reactions continue to trail on various palliatives that the federal government promised to provide in cushioning the effect of the recent fuel subsidy removal. Petrol prices have gone up from 540 to 617 naira per litre. Nigerians continue to groan over their plight as most find it difficult to make two ends meet owing to hike in transport fares, food prices, and continuous increase in inflation.
Head Corporate Communications and Affairs, IVM Innoson Group. Now, why I started, by, expressing concern with respect to acceptability is because we have that in the past. There was a deep bongos in the 80s and part of the 90s that circulated in this country. NTA had some of them, I rode in those buses, those days, well made. Yet, Edibongo did not find its way. I don't know whether it's a policy issue or in terms of materials or production and what have you. Right now, let me get back to the issue of quality. Innoson Motors, I would say, is a trailblazer, or as the case may be, in recent times, after Edibongos and the ones we had in the past. I recall a Proda in the 70s made the first car in this country. I recall that, but then that ended there, So we've had this in the past. Now Innoson came on board, had a number of issues, grappling with the issue of local manufacturing. And I want to ask you, are you manufacturing? And who is a car manufacturer? Or a car firm that is into assembly? There are two different things. But I've learned over the years that no one company manufactures something, like in a plane, for instance. You have to buy Rolls-Royce engine, but you do the construction, do the wirings and other systems before you go and procure the engine for you to use it. Some other companies are in charge of the seats and what have you. Now, in that respect, what is Innoson doing? Because I have seen a number of should I use that word? Sophisticated vehicles, military, hardware kind of vehicles, and SUVs and others. And now you are boosting of a CNG, products and what have you. So let us into your own quality and why, Innoson, for instance, should partake, in this current business that Mr. President has floated.
Well, I think. I have to invite you personally to the factory to see for yourself whether we are manufacturing or whether we are assembling. What Innoson Vehicle is doing is pure manufacturing of vehicles, and we have been doing that for over 13 years. We do not assemble vehicles, we manufacture. That's why the brand name is Innoson. We manufacture from the carcass to the full body. We do our own brand of vehicles and we name it Innoson. So what we do is manufacturing of vehicles.
Okay. You were just short. Now you have the capability to churn out 3,000 cars, for instance, buses, for instance, within a space of how many months?
Innoson Vehicles manufacturing plant have the capacity to produce over 60,000 vehicles per annum. We have the capacity to produce over 60,000 vehicles per annum. The plant situated in Nnewi has the capacity to produce over 60,000 vehicles. And even the buses that the government is talking about, we have produced quite a number of them. We are ready. We have the CNG buses that we have produced on ground now. We have the ones that is on ground. We have the raw materials to produce as many as the government wants. We have keyed into the CNG, the auto gas policy, when the government launched it in December 2020. Innoson Vehicles keyed into it and, brought in necessary equipment for the manufacturing of CNG powered vehicles. And we have started producing. We have customers. Like in Benin, we have a lot of our customers that are using Innoson Vehicles because of the CNG gas that we have there. We have our customers of Innoson vehicles, ordering vehicles, our vehicles that are powered by CNG. You understand? So even as of today in the factory, we have buses that are CNG powered. We have buses that are biofuel powered. Biofuel engine are vehicles that have the capacity to use two different kinds of fuel: natural gas, like CNG as we have it, and
one particular vehicle using two different.
Yes. Biofuel, we call them biofuel engine.
Biofuel, yes.
Yes, they can use CNG and they can use petrol, whatever that you have. We have these ones, and we also have the ones that have only CNG, and we have the ones that have petrol. So, we produce according to demand. Okay. We are a vehicle manufacturing company. We produce based on the customer's demand. Whatever the customers want, we produce for them. So we are ready to
you customize products. You can customize a
customize product. So we are ready to key into the federal government. We have the ability to supply. Once the order is there, we supply. We have the raw materials to produce as many that government can order. We have the ones that are on ground today that even if payment is made today, we can supply them immediately. So we have been ready for the government, or we are ready for Nigeria.
Okay, thank you very much, Colonel Osegwe.
What PAN ought to have achieved after these 50 years in terms of local content, in terms of training our artisans in the production of different components of cars. We have rubber parts, we have nuts and bolts and what have you. That by now we have had many Nigerians who are in line, in tune with the production line of Peugeot automobile because of the long stay you have been in the country. And that if that has continued by now, we have had a number of Nigerians who can engage PAN and produce for you. We used to have Ibeto batteries in those days, in the 80s, brake pad, belts, these have been produced in the 80s and the early 90s, in the Navy. So it's not new. Local content, brake pads, and so on. So that is it. Let me bring you in, Innoson group rep here. You've done a lot, really. You have done a good explanation on what you have been able to do. Yours is different. You already have CNG buses to supply tomorrow. It's not as if maybe you want to develop a template for it. The template has been there. Production line has been there. You have something to offer. But let me ask you this. Can Innoson produce small cars? If you want Innoson to be a household name, for instance, to say, look, a car that can be bought with 3.5 million. Small cars, like we have the keke stuff that that we see in Asian countries, but I also saw a kind of keke in China. It's not necessarily, it's like the size of keke, so to speak, but it's in a car form. Many families can afford, because car is about transportation. It's about movement from point A to point B.
Are you looking for a Bito equivalent? Or a Daihatsu equivalent?
Remember that Daihatsu? Exactly. And that poor man's car then, headmaster's car then, Lada. Remember
Lada was bigger than Daihatsu and Bito. I didn't have a car that time.
So, are you thinking in that direction?
Yeah, our research and development department have been doing a great work on that to see how we can be able to produce very, very affordable cars. The inflation in the country and the instability of the foreign exchange haven't helped a lot. You understand? By the time you are thinking about producing a car that can worth between 3 to 5 million, you see the foreign exchange going far higher.
Use local materials.
Yeah, there's local materials, but
you can do a wooden door. You can do a wooden door. It must not be metal. Wooden door for my car. Wooden door to protect from.
Well, we try to manufacture cars that meet international certification and specifications.
Can we have Nigerian specification first before international? What I'm trying to drive at, my friend, is that you could cut that, because let me use our word. Oyibo does that. They will deliberately produce something for a class of people. Do you understand? So that they can afford it. You are still providing service. Such cars are not going to make long-range expressways and all of that. These are street parts, in the villages you can move from one corner to the other. It's not necessarily cars that we use on highways and whatnot. Can't we have Nigerian specification to meet our needs?
Like I said, our research and development department are doing a great work on that. They want to produce the cars that an average Nigerian can buy because we want every Nigerian to afford Innoson vehicles. So we are doing something great on that. You know, we don't have the capacity now to produce engine, though we are in talk with some engine manufacturers to we have signed an MOU with some engine manufacturers to start producing engine in Nigeria.
The molds. Do you have to have the molds?
Yes, to start producing. So when all these things are achieved, I believe the prices of these vehicles will come down. So we are really doing a great work on that.
Well, Colonel, thank you for that point that you have raised.
Colonel Osigwe, Head Corporate Communications and Affairs, IVM, Innoson Group. Thank you also for being here.